Joining me today is DJ Skee, the founder and CEO of Dash Radio. It's great to have you on the show, brother.
Thanks so much for having me up here. It's great to be up here at Business Rockstars.
So I remember being tuned in on Channel 44 on XM Radio, listening to DJ Skee.
Yep.
So what happened? Tell me, why did you end up leaving? You're up to some cool stuff now with Dash Radio?
It's been great. Yeah, I kind of, just saw there being a huge opportunity in the broadcast sector. Everybody's been focused on the streaming music business and all those areas, but broadcast hasn't been disrupted. It's still a technology that primarily is delivered through an analog means. When you talk about radio broadcast, it's an $18 billion a year business here in North America that, when you look at the stats, 96% of the country listened to it, but the vast majority of consumers were dissatisfied with the product, too many commercials, lack of variety, the same few songs over and over, and it hadn't shifted from analog to digital. We see that change coming with the connected car, the connected home, the smart home of all these things, and we saw there being a big opportunity to kind of jump in and own that space.
So you're so much more than a DJ, I can tell, just from your ability to articulate what you just did.
Thank you.
So where does your background come from? How did you, before you became DJ Skee, who were you?
So I grew up, I was a kid that was from all over. So I kind of, if you look at my history, it's about a little bit of everything, walking between all these different worlds. Was born in New York, but lived everywhere growing up, from Texas to Florida to Minneapolis, which is really where I grew up in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. Moved out here, I started DJing out there, and I guess unintentionally became an entrepreneur because I never really wanted to work, the McDonald's job or the typical high school job. I just didn't have the patience for it. So instead, I guess looking back at my kid, I was always like scheming and coming up with different ways to make opportunities up. So at the time, the PlayStation 2 had just came out. So all my friends in high school worked at, Target or Best Buy or whatever it was. And I'd pay them like $20 to tell me when the new shipments would come in, go buy one, sell it on eBay for double the money, go back, buy two, sell them for double, rinse and repeat. So that's kind of how I got my start. And at that time, I'd actually started DJing, and one of my DJ friends was meeting with one of the big executives, the CEO of Lorde and Sony Records, Steve Rifkind, and Steve happened to bring up, it was right before Christmas, hey, I need a PlayStation 2 for my son for Christmas. Do you know anybody that has one? He's like, yeah, I know this kid in Minneapolis that's like interning for me that has them. So connected us, stayed in touch with Steve. I was like, wow, the CEO of, Lorde Sony. I wasn't even that familiar with who he was. I looked him up and was like, oh, wow, this guy's history is second to none. He invented guerrilla marketing, pioneered all these things. So I just hooked him up. I saw the value of having that relationship. And at the time, I was like, look, if I could get like a Wu-Tang Clan shirt, I would have been the happiest kid in the world.
Just for the t-shirt.
Just for that. But stayed in contact with him, and then unsolicited, put together a whole concept of some ideas I had for his company and what I thought he was doing wrong. A lot of them were digitally focused because I was always up on technology a little early, and he loved it so much. He flew me out to New York, met with me. I ditched high school one day, flew to New York, and then he offered me a job on the spot. So
when did the shift happen when you were like, I think this DJ thing is what I want to do?
As soon as I got behind the turntables when I was like 14, 15, I was like, no, I want to be, that was my calling. I wanted to be in the music business. I knew that's what I was going to do. So I started DJing, but then I made it out here kind of based off of my marketing and entrepreneurial ideas unintentionally. So from that, I came out here and worked for Steve, was always DJing, but it's kind of tough to get your name and your brand out there in that DJ world. So I was more working on the business side, which in hindsight was a blessing because I was able to apply all those things later on when my DJ career blew up. On the DJ side, I kind of blew up when I was doing mixtapes and still always like DJing, but I got really my worldwide recognition and break when I started producing for Game, and specifically, he had a big beef with 50 Cent back in the day, and I produced a 15-minute long diss record called 300 Bars, which is like one of the biggest hip-hop diss records of all time, believe it or not, when you look at me. And that was kind of my entry into the door. So from that, I saw the opportunity and kind of shifted my focus away from business to focus on my own brand and career, and ultimately later kind of came full circle with it all.
So what are you guys doing with Dash Radio?
Dash Radio, we basically, the easiest way to think of it, like an elevator pitch, I hate even saying these things, but it's closer, our closest competitor would be like a Sirius XM. We have 75 stations, all different variety. The difference is that we're totally free. There's no cost to it. There's no middlemen. Our stations are powered by the leading individuals in every category. We power radio stations by everybody from Snoop Dogg to Kylie Jenner to East Village Radio to the biggest K-pop label in the world, YG Entertainment, to you name it. We really have kind of honed in on what we think the future of broadcast is, and gone direct to consumers. You know, we don't have program directors. We're not forced to, you know, pay these massive costs to get in the game that the radio stations face today, buying broadcast hours. We're able to distribute exclusively digitally, and, you know, have a model that we think really, really works for everybody and creates the best product in the market.
What was it like when you made the shift from just being a DJ on the radio and different platforms to now having your own and being a founder and CEO?
And there's been a couple different shifts I've had in my life. There was one from, like, it's weird, I'll take it in a couple of perspectives. So one is when I first kind of started DJing and then moved out here. I didn't know any business things, so I moved out here under Steve Rifkin when I was, you know, 17 years old and learned the business. Then my DJ career blew up, so I focused on that. Then I branched out and saw, you know, I was like, look, I'm doing all these cool things. I'm touring the world. I'm in the studio with, you know, the biggest artists. It was right at the time YouTube launched. I was like, look, there's a huge opportunity in the video world. So we started a thing just called Skee TV that was me and somebody else running around with a camera. No real business plan. I just knew that great content would survive, and we ended up becoming, you know, a TV show now, 3 billion views on YouTube, and that was kind of my first real business from that. Then, you know, DJ career kept continuing to grow, got really well known on the radio side, and now I took kind of the experience that I had from obviously building Skee TV and start creating other content, the others, you know, as well as just coming out here and learning that the business from Steve and all those guys, to now taking the relationships that I'd built over the years and actually going out and raising money, putting together a real business, and, you know, putting together something in the market that, you know, we aim to be a multi-billion-dollar business, and that we're targeting and disrupting a massive industry. So, you know, jumping in, there's so many different things that you have to learn. For me, a lot of the things were just making connections over the years and learning from others that have done it. Like, you know, you can't just go out and do these things after, you know, looking at a couple things. It's best, you know, I was able to connect with myself and surround myself with other great individuals who have done this and who knew, you know, how to do it, and learn from them.
So you don't typically hear that somebody who was a DJ and is a DJ is going to go out and ultimately raise money. What was that experience like for you when you go, hey guys, maybe they didn't know you, maybe they did.
Yeah.
DJ Skee here, I'm trying to raise how much money?
Yeah, man, we've been lucky. We've raised, you know, over $5 million to date now on the Dash side, but it's been kind of a trip because, yeah, it's interesting. It's like a gift and a curse. It's a gift because I've been able to open so many doors just through myself as a DJ and as a content creator through the years. Luckily, I kind of had the backing and history of Skee TV and TV shows and a production company and all that, but still, it's always a different animal, and it is tough sometimes to get taken seriously. It is a challenge. So luckily, I was able to go in and, you know, I always say if you can just get me in the room with the people, we can do the pitch and we can close them out. Like they'll typically believe and find it once I really explain it, and they can see that, you know, I know what I'm talking about with that. The biggest challenge is getting in through those doors. And yeah, at first, you know, there's so many fights, it's so many challenges. And one of my key things, just in life in general, I always say is like the 3 Ps. There's like patience, perseverance, and persistence.
I love that.
For me, it's always been about, I'm very impatient, and having to learn patience, it's such a key because things always work out in due time. Being, you know, very persistent with things, not annoying, but, you know, making sure you follow up with that and persevering through all the obstacles. If I heard I was crazy or no, and you know, reacted all those times that I did, I wouldn't be here. I mean, people thought I was nuts when I literally left, you know, the biggest radio stations in the country to quit and to start something new. And now, you know, a couple years in,
everyone's
and
gonna
now
think
that we've
you're
had
crazy.
success, they thought I was nuts. And now, luckily, you know, I've kind of proven myself right. So it worked out right. But yeah, a couple years ago, it was, you know, it was a weird feeling.